A couple more minutes. I'm sorry, just take a little bit. Okay. You're live. A couple more minutes.
Well, hello, everyone. How's everyone doing? I am waiting to see all of the love and the hearts, everyone. And all of a sudden, the chat, Angela, you were the first to say it. Y'all know I do it every single time. I'm going to try to do this as fast as I can. All right. Right now, we got 4,500 sisters on this call, and you all are in Memphis, Ohio, Maryland, Columbia, South Carolina. Shout out to the University of South Carolina, Dallas, Atlanta. Oh, this thing is going so fast. Detroit. Y'all, I can't even keep up. New Jersey is in the house. Houston. I see North Carolina in the house. Shout out to the Black Women's Leadership Collective and that amazing gathering that took place and training in partnership with Emerge that just took place. Berkeley is in the house. Oakland is in the house. I think Oakland, you're going to find that it's someone very, very special that's going to be on this call tonight. Fayetteville, North Carolina is in the house. Ohio is in the house. Minnesota is in the house. Hawaii is in the house. There are so many in the house tonight. Thank you. For those of you who are joining for the first time, or if you're joining for the 100th time, welcome to Win with Black Women. My name is Joteka Edie, and I am so honored to spend many, many Sunday nights with Black women from across the country. For those of you who are joining us the first time, Win with Black Women, we are a network of Black women leaders representing Black women in every sector. We are Black women in entertainment, Black women in public service, we're Black women in politics, Black women in labor, Black women in tech. We are Black women in sports. We are Black women in faith and education. We are Black women, and we are Black women that have come together in our personal capacities around three goals. Number one, speaking out against racism and sexism wherever it exists against a Black woman anywhere. Number two, working in our personal capacities to elect Black women up and down the ballot, whether or not she is running for the most local office to the highest office in land. We believe that Black women deserve representation everywhere. And number three, working to uplift the collective power and positive image of Black women, and particularly that of Black women-centered and Black women-led organizations. That has been our work and our vision for the last 5 years. As you all know, we started in August of 2020. Yes, it's been 5 years, y'all, when we all came together around our collective outrage around the narrative as it related to the treatment of Black women that were being considered to be named potential vice presidential running mate. And from there, we signed an open letter. And within 48 hours, there had been more than 2,500 Black women who had signed on to this letter. And what we decided is that we were going to follow in the footsteps of Black women leaders and Black women organizations who had been saying that it was time for us to take our rightful place on the ballot. And we worked in partnership and following the leadership of so many Black women, leaders, and organizations, and rallying our support for there to be a Black woman on the highest land in the ticket on the highest land as we were running in 2020. And we were so elated and so proud to witness together the election of the nation's first Black woman Vice President Kamala Harris. But we decided that we were going to continue the work for the last 5 years, working on a number of issues around the historic Biden-Harris administration, many of the policies that they championed, but also work with other sister leaders and sister leader organizations. We have witnessed the historic confirmation of our nation's first Black woman on the U.S. Supreme Court. the nation's first Black woman on the Federal Reserve Board of Governors. We have seen so much, but also we've lent our voices in supporting the WNBA Players Association and the work that had been led to help bring our sister Brittany Griner home, or our work in entertainment to help to elevate the positive image of Black women when we decided that we were going to buy out 100 theaters to support The Little Mermaid and the representation that Halle Bailey made as The Little Mermaid. And there's been so much more in between. And we all remember last July, that historic call when we had more than 44,000 of us on a Zoom call for a very historic night. And we estimate about another 100,000 that were on other platforms because they couldn't get on Zoom that night. And that work continues, and we have continued that work. And here at Win with Black Women, we believe in elevating the voices and the expertise of Black women, and that is what we have always done. Now, reminder for those of you who are joining us, these calls are off the record. Thank you for adhering to that. Second, we open in the spirit and we close in the spirit. And at the end of closing in the spirit, what we offer is what we call after hours. We have the ability now to open up our Zoom rooms and allow you to come off of the webinar and into various rooms to talk directly with other sisters. And we will have that at the end of this call. With that, we are so grateful for you all joining us, and we encourage you to join in on the chat. And we're super excited for an amazing lineup of women that are joining us tonight. And I would be remiss if I did not shout out the team of women who pour into Win with Black Women on a day-to-day basis. And a big happy birthday to our sister, Christina Q, who is not with us because she is rightfully celebrating her birthday. But a big shout out to our sisters, Holly Weeks, Holly Holiday, Chantel Mullen, Dr. Edwina Ward, Jewel Love, Sierra Johnson, and so many others that pour into Win with Black Women on a day-to-day basis. Thank you very much. And with that, I will turn the Win with Black Women virtual stage over to Dr. Carrie Turner-Bryan, who will open us in the spirit.
Good evening, ladies, and thank you so much, Jateka, for having me tonight. I am so blessed to share space with all of you. I may not be able to see all of your beautiful faces tonight, but just know I'm with you, I'm praying for you and cheering with you. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Father, in the name of Jesus, we just thank you tonight. God, we thank you for your goodness and your mercy, for your loving kindness towards us, for we know that it is better than life. Tonight, God, your daughters have gathered in one space at one time, Father, on one accord, coming boldly before your throne of grace, as your word said that we could, because we realize that we need you. Tonight, Father, we pray specifically against the spiritual, emotional, physical, and economic attacks on Black women in this nation. We call upon you tonight, El Shaddai, Lord God Almighty, as it relates to the economic disparity, job insecurity, and unemployment that we see in this nation, specifically with over 300,000 Black women losing their jobs within a matter of months. God, we call upon you, Father, to send supernatural provision. We call upon you to send supernatural resources. We call upon you to send supernatural, Father, connections, dear God, that they would lack no good thing, Father, but that you would exceed their expectations, Father, for all that they need in this time. God, we ask, oh God, that you would be a God of justice for us in this season. Father, as our sisters are navigating fierce racism, sexism, discrimination, Father, as we are managing censorship, Father, and the silences of our voices, God, I pray that you would stand even stronger in us. Father, that you would give us the words to speak, that you would give us the path to take, God, as we are standing up against unrighteousness. God, for we declare that we will not be silenced. We will not be put in the background, Father, but we will do and declare all that you have called for us to do in this season. God, we pray against health injustice and the health disparities that many of our sisters are facing. Father, we pray tonight against violence against Black women, Father, those in our home, outside of our home, and the violence that we deal with every single day. Father, we call upon you to be our divine protector, God. We pray that you would go before us, that you would be our rear guard tonight. Father, we pray for peace of mind tonight. Father, we pray for divine protection. We pray tonight, God, for a peace that surpasses all understanding. God, I pray tonight, hallelujah, that you would fortify the hearts, the minds, and the spirits of my sisters, dear God. Help them to know that you are God and that you are ever with them, that you are ever for them. Father, make your face to shine upon my sisters and provide everything that they need in every part of their life, in this season of their life. Father, we will continue to declare that it was you who did it. It was you who kept us. We love you and we honor you tonight. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Well, Dr. Carey, I felt that in every aspect of my body, and I can see all the amens in the chat. Thank you so much for that beautiful opening in the spirit. Sisters, we are going to move right along on our agenda. And as you all can see, we're at maxed out right now at 5K on the Zoom line that we have. For those of you who have friends that are trying to get in, they can watch on our overflow on Win with Black Women on YouTube. But I am so excited to bring up this next very special guest who really needs no introduction. But I will say that this special guest is an inspiration to the very existence of Win with Black Women. And before I bring her to the stage, let me roll this video to put it into context.
38-year-old Kamala Harris came out of nowhere and was swept into office as San Francisco's district attorney.
Attorney General of California, Kamala Harris.
Senator Kamala Harris.
Vice President Kamala Harris.
I am now officially the Democratic nominee for President of the United States. This campaign is about who we fight for. We believe in a future where every person has the opportunity not just to get by, but to get ahead. Because ours is a fight for the future. Are you ready to get to work? I promise you, I will always listen to you. The future is always worth fighting for. You guys are doing hard work here.
You know, you may be the first to do many things, but make sure you're not the last.
I am here to say, while I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign. The fight for freedom, for opportunity, for fairness, and the dignity of all people. A fight for the ideals at the heart of our nation, the ideals that reflect America at our best. That is a fight I will never give up.
Sister, she needs no introduction, and that video has brought me to tears. She has served as the San Francisco District Attorney, California Attorney General, United States Senator representing the state of California, Vice President of the United States, and the historic first Black woman Democratic nominee. She is an HU graduate, a D9 sister. She is the author of 107 Days, about to embark on a sold-out national book tour conversation, but she will always be Kamala Harris for the people, our forever Vice President. Welcome to Win with Black Women.
Goodness. Thank you, my dear, dear, dear Joteka. Thank you. And to everyone, good evening. And it's, oh my, I hadn't seen that video, so you caught me too. Oh, but I just, so I'm starting this book tour this week. And, people have been asking, where you been? I've been writing a book. And I just, Joteka, I could not start this tour. And this, phase of just getting back out to talk with folks and mostly to listen to folks. I couldn't do it without being here with this incredible group of leaders, of sisters, of just folks who have been with me, have stood with me, have stood with all Black women who dare to exert their leadership, knowing that they will not be alone when they get out there. I thank everybody for what you do. Joteka, thank you always for bringing us together. I talk about you in my book, and I talk about Win with Black Women because, it's part of my history and it's part of America's history. So it's so good to be with you tonight. Thank
So we are excited. You can see the chat is jumping, jumping,
you.
jumping.
I
Woo!
see it.
And I will say for the note, someone will give me the report of how many are in the overflow room on YouTube. So, but we maxed out on 5,000 already here. I think we have probably another night of people texting saying, I can't get in, I can't get in. But I want to start with this book, 107 Days, and I have not been able to put it down. And you open the book, and it's just such a vivid walk through an historic 107 days. Can you just talk to us about the importance of telling your story and the importance of us as Black women telling our story from our perspective in our own voice?
Yes, yes. Well, there are a few things. One, we were all on that campaign together, those 107 days, and it was historic. Think about it. We have never, as a country, seen a campaign where the seated president of the United States, 3.5 months before the election, decides not to run. The sitting vice president then enters the race against a former president of the United States who had been running for 10 years with 107 days to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Resulting in, by the way, and again, thank you to all the sisters here and on the other room where they are and everywhere celebrating their birthdays, not here. Because we ended up, in spite of what this person in the White House would say, in one of the closest presidential elections in modern history. In fact, the closest in the 21st century.
Mm-hmm.
And so I felt it very important to remind us all of what we accomplished. And to your point also, I wasn't about to have history tell this story without my voice being present.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in this moment in time where there are so many people engaged in revisionist history, trying to rewrite our history. And I think what we all know is this is the beauty of this gathering, right? And if this place where we remind each other that our stories matter and we will never let anyone take our power from us and certainly not take our voice. And we will not be silenced. And isn't that something to talk about when we see what we've been seeing most recently? And so that's why I wrote it. And I also hope that when everyone has a chance to read it, it will remind us all that we brought so much that was about hope, about our ability to invest ourselves in the future of our nation and form the future of our nation. We brought energy, we brought fight, we brought determination, we brought faith. And that light, my sisters, is still inside of us. We cannot let an election or an individual ever rob us of the light that we carry inside of us. We cannot let anyone dim our light. And let us continue like we did those 107 days, and we will always do. See the light in each other and let that guide us through the kinds of moments of darkness that we're experiencing right now.
I think that's so profound what you said. And I'm just pulling out of the chat. Jennifer Collins said, crying. I so needed this.
Mm.
Vice President Harris, thank you, period. I think that is the sentiment of so many um, Black women around the country is a resounding thank you, because what you did was not only historic, but you stood for so many that have come before you,
Yes.
and you stood and continue to stand for so many that will come after you. And that is the sentiment that I hope.
And we all do, right? And we all do. None of us has achieved the success that we have if it weren't for each other holding us up. You know, when we have those moments where we need that kind of love and that kind of inspiration, or sometimes just somebody to laugh with when we trip and then say, okay, get back up and get out there again, right? That's what we do for each other.
Absolutely. Well, I know that you are a very busy, busy individual, and we don't want to take too much of your time. But I wanted to, before we go, I wanted to, and I got permission to be able to read a passage from your book and have you reflect on that, and to be able to close us out with anything you want to address or say to this moment in this time. And so, this, just to put in context, this is when you were talking about when you were at Howard University to give that very powerful, well, the very powerful moment where the day after the election.
Yes.
This was the day after the election, November 6th. I remember being there. And you speak and you do a preface. You said you were in the holding room. You were at your beloved Howard University. It's you to all of those
No.
at Howard. And you were sharing how your immediate family had gathered. The Waltz family had walked in. You had saw his daughter, and she had been very sad. And you said to her, "We are not defeated. Our spirit is not defeated. There is so much in your future, so much fight." And then you go on to say you begin to hear the percussion beat of the Howard Marching Band. And then I want to read what you wrote as you were walking out. And you said this was 4:24. You hear the band and you're walking out, and you can see a crowd that is, in the midst. You can see people cheering. There were people who were weeping. You saw so much. Um, and you said, in that sea of faces, 4 rows back, I recognize my auntie Lenore, my mother's best friend. When they were students together at Berkeley, two young idealists fighting for civil rights. She had navigated the big crowd unannounced, not to sit in the VIP section, just to stand there, to smile at me, to say, "It's going to be okay. And I'm proud of you, and I'm here." On that day, my task was to show everyone, especially young people, that as hurt and traumatized as we felt,
We're in the back
we
room.
would not retreat from the fight.
That's right.
It might take a while,
Mhm.
but the fight for our country is always worth it, and we will win.
That's right. That's
I
right.
wanted to close with that and give you an opportunity to reflect on that moment and anything that you want to say to us and all of these women, 5,000 plus another 2,300 that are in the overflow room tonight.
You know, that day was a difficult day. And in many ways, after the election, I hadn't experienced the kind of pain I felt. The only thing I could really compare it to was when my mother died. And I was grieving for our country because I knew in my heart what this was going to mean and how it was going to affect so many people in a harmful way. But that day also, in so many ways, renewed my sense of understanding that the fight sometimes takes a while and we cannot take ourselves out of it. Let's everybody rest, everyone heal, take your time, be kind to yourself, but don't take yourself out the fight. Because we cannot let anyone, any election, any circumstance take away our spirit and our faith and our belief in knowing how we make a difference. And that difference, the difference we make may be that, it's about that child who is the neighbor's child who just looks up to you for something. It may be, the Sunday school class that you teach. It may be a friend who is in their time of need, or a family member. It may be somebody who is running for office right now, for local, state, or federal office. But do not let us not take ourselves out of the fight, because we are in it for righteous reasons. The women who gather under your leadership for this Sunday convening are in it because we believe in what is right and good and fair and just. And we also have life experiences that have taught us it won't always be that way. But it certainly will get closer to that place if we remain in a role that is about leadership in any way that we can. So I say to all the sisters who are gathered here this evening and always, I am so grateful and thankful to you for all the support. And let's just keep keeping on. Wait, by the way, there's a whole celebration happening for Earth, Wind, and Fire tonight. It's the 21st of September. Have you talked about that? Do you remember?
Do you remember? Yes.
Right.
It is the 21st of September. I love it.
So let's keep our joy. Let's keep our fight. And I love everybody. And just take care. Take care. Be kind to yourself. And I'll talk to you later. Joteka, thank you so much, sweetheart. Thank you.
We love you so much. Everyone, the chat is just going up and down. Yes, let's keep our joy. Thank you to our forever Vice President, Kamala Harris, who is always for the people. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, my sister. Yeah. What a treat, everybody. Everybody. It is more, I think we're close to 8,000 between our overflow and those of you who are on the chat. 107 days. Now, I'm going to try to see how this chat is going to move. But sisters, if you have not as of yet, please go to 107daysbook.com. There it is right here. I'm going to give y'all a few minutes to pull out your phones and go ahead and get the QR code. My goal tonight is that we have more than 5,000 book orders. Now, if you've probably already pre-ordered your own, and if you haven't pre-ordered your own book, then it's time for you to get one for a sister friend. If you want to buy books in bulk and donate them to young women to be able to read and be inspired, we encourage you to do that. And I want you to type in the chat if you have pre-ordered your book or you're planning to get it. So, and we want you to actually share this link with your sister friends, with your group chats, with your Signal chats. I know we're all on 1 million chats. So please make sure we are supporting this book and the sold out tour that is taking place. I hope you got your ticket. It is going to be an amazing conversation. As we know, our Vice President, our forever Vice President Kamala Harris, she is consistently speaking truth to power about what is happening in this country and the fact that we need to continue to fight. You heard her first person. Please, please, please show the support. Let's make sure this book goes to a New York Times bestseller, #1. I believe Lovey Ajayi Jones is watching. She knows a thing or two about those bestseller books. So let's make sure we show that Black women will support Black women telling our own stories. So thank you all so much for that. Now, I am super excited for us to move to our next guest. I'm telling y'all, this is just the lineup of Black women who get things done. She is someone whom is an inspiration, a leader, a fighter, and a activist, a strategist, an author, a business leader. But more than that, she is a constant public servant. Please bring to the Win with Black Women stage my dear friend and sister, Stacey Abrams. How are you, Stacey?
Well, you have me following Vice President Harris, so I'm a little mad. Um, but always inspired, and Joteka, just grateful for your leadership, your constant commitment to not just knowing but sharing with others, and convening this group of women and the few good men you let join who understand that we have the responsibility to build the world we want. So just thank you to you, thank you to Vice President Harris, and thank you to the whole Win with Women, Win with Black Women universe. Just grateful to be here.
Thank you, Stacey. And we are excited, and you can see the chat is like, Stacey Abrams, oh my God. You have constantly been really at the forefront of always thinking about in these moments, how do we really think about the strategy? How do we think about it's time to strategize? And that's the name of this segment, Sisters, It's Time to Strategize. And you just launched an exciting new project, and you have always been focused on our democracy in our country. So I wanted to turn it over to you to talk to us about the great work that you're doing.
Thank you so much. So I've launched, as of last Monday, we launched what we are calling the 10 Steps campaign. And the importance of this goes to what you've just said about strategy. The core of strategy is having a specific outcome with a particular theory of the case. It's not just planning, it's not just tactics, it's not just acting, it's knowing what we want and knowing why we think this is the thing we deserve. And we are in the midst of the decimation of democracy. But the outcome that I believe we need is not just a democracy. I don't want to rebuild what we had. I don't want to preserve what we got. I want us to build what we should have had, build what we deserve. And there's a democracy that we deserve that has not been made manifest in my lifetime, although I have benefited from its extraordinary advances. My parents before, my grandparents, but we all know we are not where we should be. And so our outcome has to be that we don't just want democracy. We want a democracy that delivers for the marginalized, for the disadvantaged, for Black women. And we want a democracy that works. And the theory of the case that I have is that when we leverage our power, when we oppose our oppressors, when we lead, we win. But you and I both know that it's hard to lead when everybody is going in their own direction. And we keep hearing people say, well, we need a leader. And I don't actually believe that. I believe we need leadership. Leadership comes from within, and it comes from multiple places. Yes, it would be fantastic to anoint a leader or leaders, but I think that this is the moment where we activate the leadership that's embedded in every person out there who wants what we want. But I'm the daughter of not one, but two pastors. And there is a reason that you have a hymnal. There's a reason that you can sing off of a different sheet of music, but we all go to the same hymn book. And so the 10 Steps campaign is designed to do two things. One is it's designed to give us the language to use to describe the moment we are in. And I'm going to share my screen very quickly because I just think it's very important in this conversation that we understand what we're facing. And because, I'm a nerd. And so the 10 Steps campaign really is grounded in how do we make certain that we understand why our democracy is under attack and what it looks like? Because part of the intention is not just chaos. It is to have us all believe that we are individually experiencing the bad, not that this is a collective harm. And so we have to recognize that democracy is in decline, that authoritarianism is on the rise, but they're hoping we don't understand that we're already in the middle of it. We're just instead of just waiting for it to arrive. And so the first part of the campaign is really about the 10 steps to autocracy and authoritarianism. And you may have seen me walk through this on Jimmy Kimmel or some other locations. But I want us to know that these are the 10 steps, because when you know something, when you can call it out, that's when you can reverse it. That's when you can resist it. And that's making certain that we know that all of these pieces have already happened. We saw step 6 hit us like a ton of bricks. And I know people are talking about Jimmy Kimmel, but we cannot let our sister Karen Atia be left out of this conversation. When you discredit independent journalism and you replace it with state propaganda, that is one of the attacks. DEI being under attack so assiduously, that's step 7. Firing 300,000 Black women, that is step 4. When you gut the civil service so the people who need to be served can't get what they need. Step 5, installing loyalists. Our friend Lisa Cook is facing this step right now. They're trying to remove her to replace her with a loyalist who will lie about the state of our economy. And they are trying to destroy our support systems. Every nonprofit that has had to scramble over the last week trying to figure out how do they stay off of a list that should not exist. That's about step 8. And so we have to know that we are facing the threat of authoritarianism in our midst, and it is active. Step 9, we all know this. And anyone who has faced the threats of political violence understands this. But we also know that it's when you decide to occupy DC and you plan to occupy Memphis, you are normalizing violence when you have secret police wandering through the streets and when you have military occupation of democratically elected cities. But we can't stop there, because the way we win is that we not only know what the steps to autocracy and authoritarianism are, we got to give them steps to freedom and power. And that's why I wanted to come on today, because the steps to freedom and power are embedded in all of us. We do this work already. We now need to be singing from the same hymnal. We don't have to sing the same song, but we all have to believe that we have the right to the 10 steps. It's a branding opportunity, because when we can all talk about the 10 steps we're taking, people start to believe that they're part of something larger than themselves. The 8,000 women that are showing up here tonight showed up because when you said we can win with Black women, they felt themselves called into action. And this is an opportunity for us to call even more of us into action. Believe what you need to believe, do what you need to do, but let's do it together, because they've got MAGA. We've got to give them something too. We've got to give people something to hold on to. And that is not to diminish anyone else's organization. In fact, it's an architecture that's designed to let anyone who wants to come in be a part of it. Because we're targeting the 75 million women and men, the 75 million who know what we should have been doing, and the portion of the 90 million who didn't vote, who are simply waiting to be invited and waiting to believe that there's a system that sees them, because they are not anti-democratic. They are in despair. When democracy has never been a success for you, you don't miss its absence. And so our job is to invite those good people into this with us. And the way we do it, the way we defeat authoritarianism, is not by waiting for this grand cinematic moment. It is to create those moments ourselves. And here are the 10 steps to freedom and power. We've got to commit. And so many of you are leading organizations where you're helping people understand what's happening. We got to share information. And I'm so proud of the Black women influencers who are using their platforms to tell people. But it's also those of you on this video who are also going to start sharing in your group chats and in your circles. We got to share. We can't presume somebody knows it. We got to tell the story 1,000 times. They tell a lie 1,000 times until it sounds like the truth. We've got to tell the truth so often you can't avoid it. We have to organize and create a group of friends and families, allies who want to do work with us. You can pick your issue. As I laid out, there are 10 issues. Pick your issue, but make sure that's what you're doing. That's it. That's organizing. We got to mobilize. We've got to actually go out there and do things. People need to see us in action. You don't fight for something that is a theory. You fight for real change. We got to join litigation. I know my friend Janae Nelson is probably on here. We've got to disrupt. We've got to make certain that people know their rights, that we're handing out those cards, that we're blocking out propaganda, that we're protesting. But we also have to deny them their ability to strip us of our language, to tell us we aren't enough. We've got to practice nonviolent civil disobedience. And we know that boycotting works, but we've got to do even more. We've got to believe that we are right. We have to engage with our elected officials, but we don't have to wait for them to introduce legislation. We can introduce things ourselves. They may not pass, but they can't say they didn't hear about it. And ultimately, the last two are the most important. We've got to elect, and it's not just federal elections. We have to win at the state and local level. That's how they took our country. They started with school boards. They started with county commissioners. They have risen to this level because we weren't doing what we could. Black women were, but the country wasn't. So we've got to make certain that we're participating in our local elections, that we are talking about every single job and who's responsible for every single fight. And ultimately, we have to demand not just the ability to reclaim what we had, we have to demand better. We got to be clear about what we deserve. And we've got to demand that every person who asks for our help, whether they stand for public office or want us to buy their products or want us to stand with them in the fight, that they are willing to declare out loud the kind of country we need to build. And so my call to action tonight is very simple. One, I invite everyone on here to share the site. It's 10stepscampaign.org. Share the site so people know what we're facing, but they also know what they can do, because we have all heard, what can I do? What can I do? I don't want to call my elected official again. I don't want to go to another protest. There are 10 things you can do. You can mix and match, but do something. Number two, I want you to share resources with us. When you go to the website, we would love to have your information, but we would love to hear from you. Share resources with us. We're going to update this regularly with more resources so you can click on these links and you'll know what there is to do. And then ultimately, I would love for folks to become partners. If you have an organization, if you want your organization to be formally a part of the 10 steps, we'd love to have you. We will be in conversation with you about how we can share resources. And I don't just mean names, I mean sharing actual resources so we can get out there and get everywhere. We have the ability to win because we are right. And we, as the vice president said, this is a fight for all of us. We are right, but we are also righteous. And in this moment, if we take those 10 steps, we will win our country back.
Well, my sister Stacey, you always say that you're a nerd, but we always need a nerd in the foxhole. You really break this down in a very powerful way, and you break it down in a way that we all need to understand it, in particularly in what's happening, all of the attacks, and that these are steps that have been taken to diminish our power, but there are clear steps that we all can take. And I love what you said is that you can do as many of those steps as you want, or you do the step that works for you. Everyone does not have to take the same step. We just need to be moving in the same direction. That is something that is so powerful, Sister Stacey. One last question before you go. For those that have seen this and they think, whoa, I have to be on the national level, what do you say to those? Because there's so many here. There are about 8,000 Black women between here and also watching on our YouTube channel. What do you say to those women that every voice matters everywhere?
So my mom, as I said, both of my parents are pastors, but my mother, when she first became a pastor, she was assigned to a rural charge in Mississippi, Wiggins, Mississippi, and parts even smaller than that. And one day I said, Mom, like, how is it worth it to do this work in the way you're doing it? You're doing so much. And she said, Stacey, you meet people where they are, not where you want them to be. You meet them where they are and you walk with them and you listen to where they're trying to go. We can't wait for our national leaders to save us. I'm gonna tell a very quick story. When I did a documentary about voting rights, all in the fight for democracy. And there's a story that Ambassador Andy Young tells about how in 1965, after Johnson won landslide victory, he won a supermajority in the Senate and in the House. He had every bit of power. And when they went to see him, when Martin Luther King and Andy Young went to see him and sat in the Oval Office, the president said, well, I would do a Voting Rights Act, but I just don't have the power. And Andy Young tells about how incensed he was and how calm Martin Luther King was. And they walk out of the Oval Office and they're standing in the vestibule. And Andy Young says he was just so mad. He was near tears. And he looks at Dr. King and he's like, what do we do? And Dr. King said, well, he told us what to do. And Andy's like, what? He's like, we need to go find the president some power. You don't have to be in public office. You don't have to be at the national level. We all have the ability to find our leaders the power they need. And that power is not going to come from DC. It's going to come from Memphis, from standing up and taking pictures. When they move in, we need to record every single step they take. It's not going to come just from a big organization, although we need them because they are aggregators. We need the people who are the cultivators. And those are the folks at the grassroots who are doing that work. And the 10 steps is designed for everyone. No matter how big or small you are, we need your voice, because the way a choir works, going back to my hymnal analogy, the way a choir works is not just the loudest voices. It's that chorus in the background where you have those small voices that when joined can shout down the biggest demon. We can do this, and we can meet every single moment, no matter how big or small you are. My mission is to create space for all of us to do this work together, because we can win. And I invite every single one of you to sign up. Tell us what you need. We're going to be there to help you get it.
Well, thank you so much, Sister Stacey. 10stepscampaign.org. Please share, read, but most importantly, take action. It's always great having you back here at Win Win Black Women. You've been here since the beginning. We love you. We love you. Continue the fight, my sister. Thank you.
Thanks, Jateka. Take care.
Well, sisters, we're going to keep moving on this agenda, and it's just flowing so perfectly, starting off with the forever Vice President Kamala Harris, reminding us about the fight, not letting anyone take our joy, that despite whatever is happening in this country, we still matter. 10 steps, Stacey giving us 10 steps that we can take to assert our voice. And now more than ever in this country, we need to take action. Before I bring up this next dynamite, I mean, if there was a choir that was the Freedom Sister Fighters choir, this would be it, our next panel. Before we bring them up, we realize that in this country, there has been a series of actions that have taken place that is very worth a very important conversation about the continued attack on free speech in this country. I want to roll this video to set it into context.
Y'all see what happened to Jimmy Kimmel? It's interesting, though, how freedom of speech only becomes a national crisis when white people start losing their jobs behind what they say. Not when it was Black voices, not when it was teachers, not when it was protesters. But now it's news. Because that First Amendment is finally being felt the way that it's always worked. For some, not for all. The First Amendment was added to the Constitution in 1791, right? It was supposed to guarantee free speech, free press, religion, protest, and petition. But from the very beginning, it came with limits, just unspoken ones. Black voices weren't protected. Indigenous voices weren't heard. Women's voices weren't even counted. Abolitionists had their printing presses burnt down. Newspapers that spoke out were violently silenced. The Sedition Act of 1798 made it literally illegal to criticize the government. So while yes, the First Amendment existed, it was never truly available to everyone. So fast forward to this year, 2025, right? People are being investigated, fired, doxxed. Not just for what they've done, but for what they said. Airline workers, teachers, students, artists, professors, nurses. Some are being punished for speaking up about Gaza. Some for criticizing CK. Some for just reposting something that made the wrong people uncomfortable. Now the conversation about the First Amendment is back in the spotlight. Not because this kind of suppression is new, but because it's hitting people that it doesn't usually touch. And that discomfort, that's what a lot of us have been trying to explain for generations. But let's be honest, because we know the First Amendment only protects you from government censorship, not from people disagreeing with you. But when public institutions, universities, or elected officials start silencing people over viewpoints that they don't like, that crosses the line. Because when speech becomes a litmus test for opportunity, employment, or safety, it's not really freedom, is it? It's performance. And it only protects the people in power. So what we're seeing right now isn't a breakdown of the First Amendment. It's an unveiling. People who always assumed that it would protect them are now realizing that it was never unconditional. And folks who've always walked on eggshells, we're just watching the rest of the country finally catch up.
And with that, sisters, I am honored to bring forth all of these sisters to grace the Win with Black Women stage again and again. Attorney Judith Brown Dianis, Sister Joy Ann Reed, Sister Brittany Patnett Cunningham, and Sister Latasha Brown. Hi there. Hi, sisters. Now that video was hi there. That video was the entire truth. And I wanted to start this conversation and really wanted to look at the landscape that is happening in this country right now on the attack on free speech and the media and beyond. And then also talk about the fierce urgency of now what we should be doing, and if we are attacked, doxxed, and or targeted, understanding our rights. So I want to start with you, Joy. You have been very vocal about this. You clearly have spoken about your own experience of voices being silenced because people do not like what it is that we're saying. Can you talk about this moment and what we've seen in the last few weeks and the turning up of the attack on free speech?
Yeah, well, I first want to start by thanking you and thanking Women with Black Women. It's always great to be here with all of y'all. And, no pressure following Stacey Abrams and the vice president, the former vice president, our forever vice president. I want to, by the way, mention I have my book already. You can see that I've already very thoroughly read it and had the blessing of interviewing Vice President Harris. So if y'all would please make sure you watch that on Tuesday. That's going to be on thejoyreadshow.com. I have to make sure I do that because we will have and it was a great interview. So I had a chance to speak to her. So I throw that out there. What we've seen is this attack on speech escalate, right? So, the difference between what happened with me and what happened with Karen Atia is that it was overt with Karen. With Karen, it was very clear, and people are actually giving the information out incorrectly. She wasn't fired. Karen was not fired from the Washington Post for criticizing Charlie Kirk at all. In the letter, which she's now released on her Substack, because she's on Substack and that independent media as well, she released the full letter. She was fired for talking about white supremacy and white male supremacy and white men. And the Post decided that she was, quote unquote, endangering white men by talking about white male supremacy. That's why she was fired. She didn't the quotes about Charlie Kirk weren't even in the letter. It was not referenced at all. And I will say that resonated with me because I think, as I've said to you, at least, Joteka, and I might have said before, that was one of the things that I was taken to task for at MSNBC, was talking about Christian white nationalism, and it was white men who complained about it. So we're in this moment where you're seeing an attempt by the federal government to carve a protected class for white conservative Christian men, and then acting against anyone who, in their view, disparages them or says something about them that makes them uncomfortable or angry. And that is a full range. And so you're seeing that suppression of speech at the Washington Post, which is apparently created an edict that Karen violated, that you cannot criticize white conservative Christian men. You're seeing it with, of course, what happened with Jimmy Kimmel, which was almost on the orders of Donald Trump, because his joke, again, has been misreported as being about Charlie Kirk. What he did was he mocked Donald Trump. And so now what we're seeing is those who mocked Donald Trump are now out of a job. You've seen that with Colbert, you've seen it with Kimmel. So I think the reason we need to care about it, we may say, well, you know what, this is what is happening to the white guys now. Maybe it's not about us, but it is, because if what they're trying to do is to set a precedent that you will speak about the president of the United States the way that they do in North Korea, or that the way that they do in Russia, that if you criticize him in any way or anger him, they will take action against you. And the last thing I'll throw in is that the fear that these corporations are exhibiting is not even about making Trump angry. It's about the FCC, which is in control of a man named Brendan Carr, who wrote the section in Project 2025 about the way they would seize the FCC. He's now in charge of that agency, and he has threatened Disney that they will, ABC, that they will not allow a transaction to go through. A company called Nexstar wants to buy a bunch of ABC affiliates. That transaction has to be approved by the FCC. And if they did not get rid of Jimmy Kimmel's show or cancel his show, Carr made it very clear that that merger would not go through. He's also extorting Jimmy Kimmel and demanding that he donate to Turning Point USA, which is Charlie Kirk's organization. That's extortion. But what they want is when you go and look online for who the donors to Turning Point USA are, you'll see Jimmy Kimmel there as well, along with Foster Friesen and the other billionaires. So it's sinister across the board. It's dangerous across the board, and we need to pay attention to it. This is not just about comedians. It's about completely suppressing speech, and also about bribing and extorting corporations. In order for them to get transactions to go through, they have to comply with what Donald Trump wants.
Brittany, I want to bring you in here because you often so beautifully put all of this into context. And I've heard you say so many times, this is not normal. This is not normal. And in this moment, can you speak to the fierce urgency of now in the context of how we should be thinking about this moment because it is so different?
Well, I am always grateful to be with my sisters. This night has already been such a lift, right? I mean, you sign up to do something to try to give of yourself and end up receiving before you even open your mouth. So I'm grateful always to you, Joe Taken, to the team, to our forever Vice President, to Leader Stacey Abrams, and to all of you, not only who are on this panel, but who are in this conversation because you too understand that not only is this not normal, but it doesn't have to be, right? That this is actually not a condition that we have to settle for. These are not immutable circumstances. We are not forced into these positions. Rather, we have a choice to make. And now is the time to choose what's right. Now is the time to choose one another. Now is the time to declare, to quote Latasha Brown, that it's nation building time, and to declare that it is a time to keep our young people and our future safe. I say that because Black people know what's up. Before comedians started getting fired, before Colbert Show was canceled, before all of the things were happening with the FCC and the paper was moving funny and people were talking funny, before all of that, we knew what was up. We had watched our words be weaponized, taken on social media and then weaponized, right? So now woke is a slur where it used to be a clear coded call for us to give one another when we needed to keep our head on a swivel. We've watched our houses of worship be co-opted by evangelical thinking through the music and the pulpit so that people suddenly think that you have to turn off being Black in order to love God. We have watched our young people become enamored and trapped really by AI, unable suddenly to think critically or have an attention span for more than 60 seconds because all they are able to do is use their thumbs and not ever do any research that actually brings them the truth. Right. We've watched as all of these things happen specifically to our community, that we have been targeted in that. And to your question, Joteka, about putting things in context, we need to understand that Black people being in revolution is the revolution. Every single group of people around the world looks to us to see our plan to get free and says copy and paste. This administration knows exactly what we are capable of. They know that we have set ourselves free before and that we are intent upon following that precedent. And they know what we teach people when we show up, because we teach other people how to resist simply by our presence. So that is why that undermining has been happening for a very long time. So even beyond the state attacks on speech, we've been watching our ability to communicate clearly with one another in prideful, intentional, and strategic ways be undermined. I watched so many videos last Sunday, like probably so many of you did, watching our fellow sisters say that they had to walk out of church because they went to service looking for an edifying word, an encouraging word, a word that helped them remember that we're going to make it through this. To be not weary in well-doing, but a word that prophetically spoke to what the spiritual warfare is of this moment, because it is white supremacy, it is patriarchy, it is authoritarianism. And so many of them were looking for that word and had to walk out because people were unwilling to divorce themselves from the payday of the empire to actually speak the truth to God's people. And so that's really what this moment calls for us to do. This moment calls for us to recognize that whether you've got 5 followers or 5 million followers, you are somebody's leader. You are the voice somebody is looking for. My friend Stevana Rogers constantly says that Black women have learned how to be each other's institution, that there are folks who learn how to read, who got through college, who souped up that resume for that first job because some Black woman decided all of the stuff you were supposed to get in school that you didn't, I'm going to give it to you. So now is the time for us to be each other's institution, to be intentional about targeting our audiences. I want us to forget about trying to appease or game algorithms that were never built for us in the first place.
Those algorithms were built to suppress voices like ours. So instead of paying attention to how many retweets, likes, and shares, we need to be paying attention to those demographic numbers, to those insights, to that engagement to say, is the message I'm trying to give out to the people that need to hear it getting there? And how do I take that not only digitally, but analog? Because we're in a time where everything cannot be shared on the internet. The urgency of now dictates that we pull some of those blueprints from our ancestors and learn from what they did. So if you were thinking about making a video, perhaps write it down. If you were thinking about making the post, perhaps make it a newsletter. If you were thinking about setting out some audio, or you were thinking about going off on somebody, go with your first thought internally and then find your second thought so that you can give a message that is productive to the people that you care about in your family group chat. There are so many ways that all of us are equipped to teach somebody the right thing in this moment, to make sure that people are sparked toward action, and to make sure that each one of us is an institution for somebody else. So I'll just close with this. In the times that we are targeted, it is critical that we decide not to be timid, but that we decide to be tactical. These are times when, in as much as it can feel righteous and right to say the thing that needs to be said, sometimes the work is in saying the thing, and sometimes the work is in not saying the thing so that you can go and do the thing. We need to be praying for the kind of discernment right now that helps us to be impactful, effective, and strategic, because our ultimate goal is not shares and retweets. Our ultimate goal is not virality. Our ultimate goal isn't even feeling good because we finally let the thing out on Threads. Our ultimate goal has to be always collective liberation and shared power. We can win. We will win. Justice is divine. We simply have to make sure that our works match our faith.
Thank you, Reverend Brittany Packnett Cunningham. We got a whole word. Sister Judith Brown Dianis, Attorney Judith Brown Dianis, free speech. We talked about this in the Constitution. I want you to just really talk about this moment, because how do we grapple with the fact that we grew up, some of us going to civics class, learning about a constitution, learning about, the freedom of speech. How do we actually think about that in this moment? And then also, very specifically, if anyone is doxxed or attacked or targeted, what are their rights?
Well, first, thank you, Joteka, for having me. Oh, Lord, y'all are preaching up here. I'm like, it's time to go home. I can just turn my camera off and go home, or listen to the rest of y'all, right? Because I'm like, and thank you for putting me before Latasha, Lord. So I also want to just say to all the Black women who are participating today, I love you. I love you. Let us take a moment to love up on each other.
8,500 Black women.
I love each and every one.
And our overflow.
Let us love on each other every day, because we all we got. So I want to start with this, Joteka. Listen, the Dred Scott case. Yep, I'm going all the way back. In Dred Scott, Justice said, there are no rights that the Black man has that the white man must respect.
Jeez.
Those words have stuck with us. So when we say we've been here before, we have been here before. Because right now, that is what we are seeing. We are going back to a time when our rights mean nothing. And so for white folks, what this has meant is they've been true to this. They are staying true to this. And this is white supremacy. So when Joy talks about what is happening around white men are saying when they attack DEI that they are the aggrieved people in this country, because this wasn't supposed to happen, because we weren't supposed to have any rights that were to be respected under this Constitution. When we talk about protest laws, we have seen over 103 anti-protest laws that were passed or introduced in 2024 alone. Anti-protest, making it harder to protest, criminalizing protesters. We see RICO charges against protesters. And why is that? That's because Black people took to the streets when Trayvon was murdered, when George Floyd was murdered, and all of the people in between. And so Black people are not supposed to take to the streets in America and dissent. And why is that? Because we can't lose the plot, y'all. The plot is that white people want their power back. The plot is that they want authoritarianism this time, because authoritarianism will allow them to squash us. And to get authoritarianism, they have to squash dissent. They need loyal subjects who will not say anything against them, who will comply, who will preemptively comply. And they know that Black people are a problem for them because we have a problem with compliance. We don't like to comply with white supremacy. That is not our thing. They also know that we have been the conscience of this country. And so free speech really should be something that we lean into in this moment. I know our pastors have leaned in. Last week, I was watching Pastor Wesley. Thank you, Pastor Wesley. And then I traveled on over online over to Freddie Haynes, and Freddie Haynes was speaking too. Free speech is what has kept this country honest. Honest about who it is, who it was, and who it needs to be. And so in this moment, I want us to make sure that we understand the power that we have and that our silence will not protect us. And at the same time, Joe, take it to your second point, is that it's risky out there, y'all. It's risky. And so when we do use the power of free speech, I want us to make sure that we protect ourselves. If you are in a position where, and this, I'm getting to be the lawyer, and I'm not giving you legal advice now because I ain't barred everywhere. Okay, this ain't legal advice. It's just straight up textbook stuff. If you work in the public sector, you have more rights than if you work for a private employer. If you work for a private employer, I want you to make sure that you have read the policies on free speech, that you have read the digital policies, what they say about what you can and cannot say in social media. Please protect yourself. If you work in the public sphere, a public employee, you have more rights when you are speaking about matters of public concern and you are not on the public dime at the time. You actually do have rights to free speech. And this is what I want to also tell y'all. The law doesn't matter right now. We're living in a lawless country. We are living in a time when we are in a constitutional crisis. For all the people, when we talk about what is normal, right now is not normal. We have a White House that defies court orders. We have a White House that thinks that it can actually put in place the rules around how to run elections. And that's not for a president to do. That is for states to do. We have a president who thinks that he can put the military on the streets. We have a president who is bombing ships coming from Venezuela, bombing without Congress saying that he can do that. And we have billionaires who are being compliant, not because they're necessarily scared. Some of them are scared, but some of them know that they will benefit from this. So the oligarchs are complying and the loyalists are complying. And who is going to once again save this country? Black people. So I want you to make sure you protect yourselves. There's a few tools I just want to give you. Delete Me, please, y'all. Subscribe to Delete Me. Delete Me will take your name off a whole bunch of stuff, and then you Google yourself and see if you're still around, okay? That's really important tool to have. The other thing is on LinkedIn, you've listed your employer. So if they're going to dox you and you did Delete Me, but you didn't take yourself off of LinkedIn, they know where you are working. You can actually hibernate your LinkedIn account. There's a way to do it under the privacy settings. And then also for security purposes, y'all, I'm an Instagram person. I'm a TikToker too. Y'all follow me on TikTok, y'all. I'm a TikToker. just don't be putting where you are in the current moment. Post that tomorrow, okay? I know we all like to be live, and please, we are in times of increased violence against Black people. Protect yourselves. You don't have to have everything online. You don't have to be all the time telling people where you are. Please protect yourselves and your family.
Thank you so much for that, Judith. And I just want to reiterate, Delete Me. Go and you can Google it. You can find it on platforms. You do not have to tell everybody where your place of work is or specific things about you. And then on social, protect your body. You don't have to tell everybody where you're at. I can tell you, if y'all see me on Instagram, I was there probably 4 or 5 days ago, or maybe a month ago. Okay. Sister Latasha, I want to come to you to close us out, because everybody has been saying, well, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Sister Latasha, in this moment, you are a sister of action. What should we be doing in this moment as it relates to this particular fight? I know we have many. What should we be doing?
We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the waters. We shall not be moved. I started that song and other songs often because I think we also need to recognize, to your point, Sister Jude, like our spirits, we got to revive our spirits. It's kind of like in the scripture when it says, can these dry bones live again? We got to breathe life in this moment. And so I can talk about the tactics, but we have to really understand that we were built for this moment. As crazy as it seems, God said the last shall be first and the first shall be last. Those of us that follow scripture texts and Christian texts. I've got, when you ask the question, I got 4 things that I'm going to say that I think that we should do in this moment. You know, the first one I started with, this is a moment, y'all, that we've got to lean into faith. And what I mean by that, you got to tap in. This ain't the moment for religious judgment. This is the moment that you got to tap in. And the part of the way of tapping in, which is why I'm so glad Judy started the way she did, is the entire environment right now is based on fear. It is based on putting fear in your heart. It's based on putting fear around you so that you will respond or not respond based on fear. In the scriptures, it says, I come from the Christian tradition, and in the Bible, it says that perfect love drives out fear. If I need y'all to sit on that for a minute, and what that means is in that this moment, you're going to have to love Black folk in spite of anything. You got to love Black folk like you ain't never loved Black folks before. The Black folks that you love, the ones that get on your nerves, the one that you want to throw away, the ones that you be like, you know, we got names, right? But at the end of the day, perfect love drives out fear. And so I'm raising that because everything that's in place right now is to make us be fearful, right? To make us be fearful of each other, to make us be fearful of government, everything. And so we're going to have to stand in the space to recognize, one, not only were we built for this moment, but we really have to lean into faith a little bit differently. We're going to have to tap in. Sisters, if you are a prayer warrior, you got to be convening like your folks right now. We have to be praying. That ain't all, because I want to say some of the other things too, but we cannot put aside, sometimes we'll get in the space of, it's going to be strategies about the strategy and the strategy. And it's always been spirit, because if we're clear in our minds and our hearts, then we can actually hear some of the strategies. So I'm going to need you to lean into faith in a way that you're actualizing it, that we are really prepared to feed people, that we're preparing ourselves to pray for folks, that we're leaning into our faith in a different way. The second is to fortify yourselves. And I've been saying this for months. I think it's important to have some basic stuff. Y'all need to have some cash. If you can get, some people don't have $2,000 in cash, but there was a time last year during the election that cards got cut off for Bank of America, right? And if somebody freezes your account right now, can you move? And that doesn't see we were like, that's not gonna happen. Yeah, it can happen. So you need to have some cash, like the old folks, the old Black folk in the South used to tell us, right? So fortify yourself. Happens to you if you're missing. Oh, okay. If you're missing, you need to make sure you have that. You have 5 folks. What's your 5, right? And then you need to be gathering all of your information. Don't take anything from granted. You need to have your information. If you have to leave, if you have to move, if something happens to you, that you need to know where have your information together. Sometimes we just kind of take for granted. We're in a different kind of space right now. So that's fortify. The third thing is really around, we need faith. Fortify, you got to fight. This is at a moment, let me tell you, authoritarianism, that part of the way that it gets hold, it uses fear as a factor to make you be silent. And so it is very important that we are above ground, that if people, y'all know, I don't know how many sisters out here that are little girls that used to get in trouble in class for talking too much. Are you one of them? Okay. I'm gonna need you to activate that. That little girl that talked too much, I'm gonna need you to activate that. But it's not just talking for talking's sake. I need you to actually, what you hear, you got to start seeing yourself as an information gatherer for everybody around you. You got to stay on things. We cannot depend on mass media. We see what's happening. We really can't depend on these platforms, right? And so, but it's really important. There are some people we can depend on. I'm gonna get to that on my next one, right? But it's really important in this moment that we fight in a different kind of way, that you got to start seeing yourself. If you don't say, well, I'm not an activist. Yes, you are. Now you are. Fascism has made us all activists. And so you've got to use your voice in this particular moment. And the last F really is around, so I need you to be amplified in this moment, is around fun. We got to fund our freedom. What does that mean? There are some sisters and brothers that are online right now. Joy Ann Reed, Don Lemon, Roland Martin. Like, we already know what's happening on the mainstream media piece, right? There are independent Black platforms that are literally bringing us credible, they're our trusted messengers. If they're not having the networks behind them, how y'all think they're going to stay on? They've got to get funded. They've got to be supported. So we've got to support independent Black media in this moment more than we ever did. We've got to fund. The second thing in terms of funding, not just funding what we have, but we also got to use our money differently. The Target boycott, it is working, y'all. It is working. And so we've got to lean into strategies that are going to work to put pressure on folks who need to put pressure. You can't let stuff happen to us and mistreat us and then gonna get our money, right? We've got to use our funding in a particular kind of way. I'm going to wrap up right now and say there's more that I think that we can talk about, but there are 2 major holidays coming up. One is Thanksgiving and the other is Christmas. And we can talk about, I plan on talking about this at another point, but many companies, their entire first quarter earnings for the whole year is based on Christmas sales, right? We're going to have to think of those things as strategies that you're not going to make money off us, and you're going to allow these things to happen to us. We will shut it down and do what we're supposed to do for Christmas anyway. We will sit down and sing songs about Jesus and pass and cook some fried chicken and tell our children, you're going to get this one little gift that I made for you, and that's it. But my point being is we're going to have to be sophisticated enough in this moment that we're going to have to prepare that the comforts and the convenience will also keep us asleep, and they will keep us in a perpetual cycle. And so those things, faith, fortify, fight, and fund. And then the last fund is political organizations. You got to have a political home. I don't care. You got to join the NAACP or our Black Voters Matter or somewhere. You need a political home. This isn't the moment that you can be your own out there by yourself. So attach to a political home, and then you've got to fund that organization. Even when we're Black women, do a donation. We've got to use our money strategically and very differently. Thank you, Joseph.
Thank you so much. Woo! Now I'm gonna tell you, Now this way we need to put up the I have always believed that we need to have a Black Freedom Fund that like where we just raising money for everybody and we just like everybody is in that. But let me tell you what you all just outlined, both what we could be doing for ourselves, the landscape, that this is not normal, the context of this, and also what we should be doing. It is so pivotal. I wish you could see the chat. Everybody said, I love this. I love this. We still 8,500 strong and we at 9:54 p.m. Sisters, I promise you, we are getting close. We're getting close. This is such a dynamite conversation and a lineup. Sisters, thank you always. You always just say yes. You always bring the truth. This is what Win with Black Women is all about. It is about elevating the voices because there is a Black woman expert on all that is happening in this country. And we thank you so much for always saying yes to us. Thank you. Sisters, we're going to keep moving on this agenda. As you heard tonight and heard in the conversation, what is also important, and we heard our forever vice president allude to this, is that our joy is also so important. Our culture is important. The fact that we as Black women, that we define culture in the way that we do is a reason why there's such an aggressive attack on it. And this next Win with Black Women sister, she's actually been a part of Win with Black Women for a very long time. She has been my friend in my head for a very, very long time. She is a cultural icon. She is a writer. She was a beauty editor for Essence magazine. She is just exudes culture. She is the author of a forthcoming book, Tenderheaded, a memoir. She has family roots from my home state of South Carolina. Let us welcome the amazing Michaela Angela Davis to Win with Black Women. I'm so honored just to have you on the screen. Welcome.
You know, I turned on my camera when you said Sumter.
Sumter, South
And
Carolina.
you have been a friend of my afro for a very long time as well, Joteka. And well, this night is fire. Like, who knew that I was going to launch my pre-sale campaign with you? Because I wanted to do it with you, but then the vice president. Okay, like, and you know, when we first talked, Joteka, and I've shared widely that Susan Taylor is my mentor, and that Essence is my home. And I actually wrote through it. I have been experiencing some grief around how our Black media legacy institutions have been diminished in a time when we really, Black women need a home base. But you and your team have created a sacred and courageous space that I feel is like this generation's essence. It is a gathering place. Look who was here tonight. What they said, it was like the pages come alive. And the only thing I said to you is like, oh yeah, we just need a little fashion and some culture, and boom. But you have done the thing. And I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful for you and for this space because we need this. And it's here. There's not even, because my colleagues and I have been talking like, where's Ebony? Where's Jet? Where's Essence? Where's Vibe? Where's Honey? Where's BET? When Black women need it the most. And we're here every other week. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, you have been thank you for those beautiful words. And it's all of us. All of us are in it together. And it's an amazing team of women who power this. And it would not be what it is without all of us.
Yes.
All of us, those that are watching, those that donate and support, those that participate. And so the true meaning for Win with Black Women is that when we see each other, when we love on each other, when we lift each other up, that is how we win. I want to talk to you about culture. And I also want you to talk about Tenderheaded and the inspiration behind that, and also what you hope that we will get from this memoir.
Okay, so culture. And I want to thank you for having artists as part of this. You know, these times need all of us. And while we got so much information tonight, so much political inspiration, so much warning, you know, basically we could sum this all up by saying Black women tried to tell y'all, like, for the whole moment.
That's a whole t-shirt.
That's it. But the role of the artist is really important. And the role of culture, particularly for Black folks, that is our food, that is our fortification, that is where we get inspiration, that is where we get reprieve. And we have to be careful, we have to be careful not to lose our thirst for beauty, because we have an incredible, insatiable appetite and production of beauty. And so in this moment, you know, Morrison told us about the role of artists. And it's not just beauty, it is activism. It is the revolution. So we can't, and every movement had artists, right? We had writers, and particularly Black women. Our legacy in literature is vast. And I'm just grateful to be part of that legacy. What was the second? So forgot the second question, but here I want to share something that's really important about why this need for pre-sale or asking people to buy the book is important, by someone who's not famous and not powerful. I had a #1 New York Times bestseller, and I wrote it with Mariah Carey. Right? This time, it's not Mariah Carey. It's Michaela Angela Davis. And I'm sure there are many writers or would-be authors on this call. And these are some things you don't know. The pre-sale numbers are critical to our survival. My first printing is 8,000 books. If I get 1,500 pre-sales, that triggers something to the publisher and to the industry. And what that does is Vice President Harris made it clear that we need to communicate that our stories matter, but we also need to communicate that there is a demand for our stories in the market. Because if my book does well, someone behind me gets to use Tenderheaded as her comp, the same numbers, not comp in style. That's what I thought I've learned a lot. And I have a great Black editor, Yadon Israel at Simon & Schuster, millennial, brilliant, but also Black people are telling each other what the deal is. Mm-hmm. So if you have your book, Joteka, if my book does well, your agent gets to say, this is like Tenderheaded. So you'll get a better deal. So when we buy each other's books, when we pre-sale each other's books, it helps the entire community. So that piece, I wanted to add that for people who aren't famous. We need to do this for every sister's book we want to support. And like you say, even if you don't read it, pre-sale it, give it to someone. We can get books for Christmas. Where's my sister? This is what you could do for Christmas, right? Buy a Black girl book. So I wanted to just share that information of how the industry works and why it's so important for y'all to buy Tenderheaded and every other sister's book behind us.
That's so important, Michaela, because we talk about this and may the work and the voice of Lovey Ajayi Jones long live, because this has been a part of her mission to share exactly what you shared. I want to, and we have 8,000 sisters out there right now. That's not even every last one of us. That is, I'm not the best at math, but I think that's probably about maybe 1/4 of us. If 1/4 of us, just 1/4, not 100%, just 25% of us on here right now just decided in solidarity and support of sisterhood that we are going to right now pre-order this book. It will make a monumental shift, but what it is about, and I love that this isn't just about you. It's not just about you. It is about how do we create demand so that the next sister that is coming behind you is going to get a better deal. And that the next sister behind her is going to get a better deal. And that's how we truly win. And there are sisters that are in the link saying they're putting the link in right now. I'm going to leave this on the screen for a moment so that you can pull out your phones yet again. Please, sisters, take a screenshot of this URL code. We are going to send it to our listserv. We know our listserv is about 200,000 of us. But for those of you on this call, take a picture of this and share it with your text threads. Share it with your sister girl links. I know I got some sister girls. I know I got my line sister chat. I'm going to test y'all. I'm going to see if I see it in some of my own chats, whatever I get off of this call.
I love that.
But let's make sure that we are supporting. And it goes to the point of what you said, Latasha said, these are unique ways that we can be very strategic about how we are supporting each other and how we're using our resources. Before you go, I did want you to talk about Tenderheaded.
Great.
Inspiration behind Tenderheaded and what we all of us who are committing tonight to ordering this book, what we are going to get and what you want us to walk away with.
So I'd like to do a really quick reading. It's like a minute, but it's basically about my 30 years in working in Black media and my identity as a sometimes illegibly Black woman. So I talk a lot about the color caste system in the South. Some history is woven in there. There's a little Prince in there. There's a little Diana Ross. There's lots of fashion because I worked in fashion for a long time. And I was going to read something else, but this call has inspired this. It's the last tangent. It's the last part of the book before the epilogue. Very early in my first tenure at Essence, I was assigned to dress Maya Angelou for a cover. To accommodate Dr. Angelou's demanding schedule, the Essence crew traveled to Washington, D.C. We set up in a suite at the Ritz where she was staying, giving the energy and love infused in them room to breathe and change the air. I laid out her pieces and hung her garments on the rolling rack with the attention to detail of an art installation. It wasn't the legendary romantic rumble of a voice that signaled she had entered the room. Rather, it was her presence that announced her. Harriet made the most beautiful, gracious introduction, informing Miss Angelou that I would handle her wardrobe to help her dress. Taking in the splendid jewels and accessories, she ran her fingers across each garment on the rack. Did you gather these, my dear? Yes, Miss Angelo. Everything here was made especially for you by Black designers. I ventured to find treasures, beautiful, one-of-a-kind, handmade, precious things. Black hands, women's hands. Artist Zenobia Bailey worked around the clock to create a crown for her in the form of an intricate, cosmic patterned, crocheted beaded kufi. Textile designer and self-defined urban fairy, Adrienne McDonald, made her a hand-dyed silk and beaded scarf that made a slight singing sound as the tiny, tiny bells tumbled loose in the hand-stitched hem, along with a magical swing coat. Master jewelry designer Shimoda offered dangling earrings of ceramic, bone, shells, and gems. No two matched, but all were harmonious. I made the pilgrimage to Fulton Street in Fort Greene, Brooklyn, to 4W Circle, Women Working and Women and Winning for the World, an artist collective and fashion incubator for Afrocentric designers and craft persons, in search of royal frocks. Just a few doors down was Brooklyn's own iconic designer, Moshood, who made loose, easy, culturally resonant clothes that served as Afrocentric basics, fulfilling our gap. She then instructed me to follow her to the bathroom. I did. She shut and locked the door, gestured to the toilet seat, and told me to sit down. I did. Locked in the bathroom at the Ritz-Carlton with Maya Angelou. If you are here, if you have done what you have done, you have been paid for, Michaela Angela Davis. In this work that I am in, of media and entertainment, my integrity will surely be challenged by those of misguided intention, she warned, describing it as being plucked to death by ducks. I must leave the situation when that happens, not to tolerate any disrespect or abuse, because I was paid for by my ancestors with the sacrifice of their comfort and safety, the bartering of their dignity, the labor of their hands. The courage of living as one's honest self is more than just its own reward, Dr. Angelou concluded. It is reparations.
Wow. Everybody's in the chat like, ooh, Jesus. What a profound moment. Sister Michaela Angela Davis, thank you for sharing this with us, with the world. I think you might have seen so many have said pre-ordered, 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 pre-ordered. Sister Holly Weeks, if you could put back up the URL code for those of you, please take a photo of this. Tender-Headed, a memoir. It is coming soon. Could you share with us the official date of the drop?
Yes. So it drops. People who pre-order, you'll get your books October 14th. October 14th. October 7th, I'll start my tour of events. But October 14th, it drops in folks' mailboxes and bookstores. And you can also pre-order from independent and Black-owned bookstores. But this you also must know, y'all. And it's unfortunate, and maybe there's something we can think about. A lot of independent and Black-owned stores, pre-order numbers don't go into the pre-order list. So when the best-selling list and the sales are looking at numbers, those independent books aren't counted. And often independent bookstores don't report their numbers because they get 3 or 4. So if you're going to buy live, buy from your local bookstore. And I always buy someone's book from a local bookstore, but the pre-order numbers that affect the lists are from the big stores. So that's also something I didn't know. So,
well,
yeah.
Thank you so much, you all. Tender-Headed is a memoir. Thank you for evoking and bringing the spirit of Dr. Maya Angelou into the room. I think it's just so fitting with the night that we've had, the conversation, and all of the speakers, for you to read that excerpt from your memoir and just your incredible life's work in culture and just the essence of who we are. Thank you so much. And we look forward to having you back. You are a Win with Black Women OG. You've always been here. It's been the first time that you've been on stage, but you have always been here with us just about every Sunday.
Oh, lastly, so if I'm wearing a solid gold hot comb. I did this with Lorraine West, the jewelry designer. We're also going to have a version with chocolate sand diamonds on the handle, dropping the same time as the book, y'all.
Ooh, okay. Fashion.
That's our thing.
That's what I'm talking
That's
about.
right.
Fashion and education. All
Yes.
right.
Yes, I love you. I love us.
I love us. Thank you so much,
you.
everyone. Michaela Angela Davis, author of Tenderheaded, but it is about the culture. It is about so much. Thank you so much. Sisters, we are moving right on in our agenda, and we're super excited to bring this next series. Many of you are getting ready to come to Washington, D.C. for the Congressional Black Caucus Annual Legislative Conference. Lots is going on, but let me tell you, there's one place that I know I will always be during CBC week, and that is with the Black Women's Roundtable, and it's the coalition builder with us, our sister who is always with us, a day one OG, Sister Melanie Campbell. Welcome to the Win with Black Women stage. Sis, tell us where we can find you during CBC week.
Well, first of all, Michaela, as soon as I get through with my session, I'm going to make sure I make that purchase. I love it. I love the title, right? But thank you, my sister. This has been a beautiful night, much needed. As folks were talking about, it's one thing to be on, but it's one thing to get poured into. So I've been excited just listening tonight. Well, first of all, 17 years now, we have helped to kick off Congressional Black Caucus Foundation annual legislative conference led by our sister Nicole Austin Hillary, and so another sister running things. And so we will be having our annual Black Women's Roundtable. I call it a gathering, right? We gather around this table with sisters. You will be there. Bishop Leah Daughtry will be there. We got Latasha and so many other sisters, some of our labor leaders, April Verrett and Becky, Tamika Mallory. We're gathering, but we're gathering for a purpose. It is about starting off a series, and this year we'll be actually having 3 gatherings over the course of 2 days. But the starting off at 10:30 in the morning. Make sure if you're going to be in Washington D.C., sisters, come to our Black Women's Roundtable Policy Forum, where we'll be taking time to really think about strategizing, lifting each other up, having some joy together, but really just taking a few minutes to just talk about what we need to be doing to make sure that we actually address some of the things we were talking about tonight. The attacks on us, what are we going to do? What are we doing? How can we work together? How can we share? So 10:30 on Wednesday, September 24th, 10:30 to 11:30, show up. And then we're going to have a follow-up to that, Joteka, in the afternoon. We will continue to have that conversation at our national office. But people can go join us, Black Women's Roundtable. Come on over. You won't, that 1 hour will go pretty fast, but you will get a lot out of it by coming up and showing up. And so just being able to support our sister with CBCF first and foremost, but also be able to come and gather. So we're looking forward to that. And lastly, I want, I think they're going to share the flyer so people can make sure you have to be registered for the conference. But for what we do in the afternoon, you can register. And if you can't be with us in person, in the afternoon, you'll be able to plug into us. And last thing I want to say is thank you, Joteka. This is my 30th anniversary.
Yes.
And so October 21st, you all will be celebrating my 30th anniversary at the National Coalition. So I want to thank you all for that love and get information about that. And looking forward to being a part of all of the things that are happening. I'm listening to some of my other sisters who come behind me and show up for each other. And that's what it's about, right? We have to show up for each other, and especially at the time that we're in. So love you. Thank you for the moment. Thank you for the spotlight. And all of there'll be a lot of sisters coming from across the country. Our Black Women's Roundtable leaders and partners will be there. Don't miss it.
Well, I hope that we could get the flyer up. And if we don't get it up right now, I'm sure it'll come up in our announcements. Y'all, you never want to miss the Black Women's Roundtable. It is always fire. It is every sister you could think of is around that table who is speaking truth to power. Truth to Power. So we will make sure when we do our recap, you'll get all of this information. We'll make sure that we get the flyer out. But that is Wednesday morning at 10:30 a.m. in the convention center. When you walk in there, just look for where the Black women are walking towards and just follow, because that is where it is going to be. And congratulations, 30 years, Sister Melanie Campbell. Now you know we're gonna have you back to talk specifically just about the 30th anniversary of your leadership and visionary leadership, not only of the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation, but just a fierce leader in our movement and in our nation. So it's always good to have you on, Big Sis. I love you so much. Thank you.
See you soon. See you in a couple of days.
See you in a couple of days.
Thank
All
you.
right, sisters. Also, during Congressional Black Caucus Week, we know it is State of the People. Now, I know y'all have watched so many great movement building programming led by the State of the People, whether it has been a 24-hour broadcast, whether or not it has been bringing you live footage, and a national tour. Many of you were a part of that, so thank you very much. And I'm so honored to bring a fearless leader, someone who she's been with Women with Black Women. This has like been an OG call. All of these sisters has been there from the beginning. Sister Angela Rye. I call her the Chief of Staff. Yes. How are you doing, Queen?
Hello, sis. It is an honor to be here with you all. And this is a call to action based group. So I just want to say I got this. And to our dear sister, Michaela Angela Davis, book has already been ordered. And to the other sisters in the thread, it's not a rebuke, it's just an ask. When sisters are in here promoting their products, please be mindful of spam in the thread with your stuff. Think about how you would feel if somebody was dropping their book. We want to support our sisters, but we do want to see your links too, but just try to be mindful, y'all. I was in there in all caps. So please try to be mindful of that. I was just thinking about, how tender it is when you pour your soul out into a book. That said, I want to thank our sister Melanie Campbell for pouring her soul into the community for 30 plus years and counting. She is truly our big sister who I love, and she's probably going to rebuke me for this, but it was not on purpose. So we have a slight overlap in our programming during the CBC Foundation's annual legislative conference. We asked for the caucus to consider moving their normal press conference for the opening of the conference to the community, given everything that's happening with the occupation in DC, and they agreed to do that. So that programming slightly overlaps with Mel's. We're starting at 11 at Sycamore and Oak. It is a big community day in DC. We have everything from a small business pitch competition with cash prizes. The prizes will be based on who has the best community impact programming. We have Black farmers who are bringing curated produce to provide to the community for free. We have we also have a shoe giveaway that we're doing with some of the local programs in DC. Some of the folks were like, well, some of our kids can't come, so we're making sure that we're getting that over to them as well. And then finally, we have a resource and vendor fair. It was very important to the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation and our members to ensure that we were providing folks with resources that include, everything from registering to vote to everything else. And then, of course, vendors where we can support our own businesses. We have food vouchers we're giving away from the restaurants that are already housed at Sycamore and Oak. So you can come eat for free. We're going to have a DJ. We're going to dance, and I hope y'all take that plate right over to Mel and make sure you also support our Black Women's Roundtable. We are not competitors. We are fierce partners. I've learned so much from Mel along this journey. And certainly you, Joe, thank you for everything that Win with Black Women has done to be such a tremendous partner to State of the People. And to all of you who have volunteered, who came, who, did the fan dance, who did whatever, just to make sure that we kept going and giving back and pouring into our community. So this is another opportunity to give our people relief when they need it most. We are going to be at Sycamore and Oak again from 11 to 2 on Wednesday. I'll see y'all soon.
Thank you so much, Sister Angela. And thank you for those words. Sisters, we do want to really respect the space, and particularly when we have speakers that are talking about their books or their businesses or their products. We do have a process. If you ever want to be considered to come on the platform to talk about your business, to talk about your book, you can always email us at info@winwithblackwomen.org, and we have a team that will look at it to assess and to bring you on, because again, we want to lift up everybody. So thank you so much, Angela. That's why you're the chief of staff.
I love you. And I forgot to say one thing. Please make sure y'all register ahead of time so we know how many food vouchers to get. It's at stateoftheppl.com, and Joe had already put the flyer up. So that was it. We love you. You killed on this call, child. Killed. Amazing.
It was all of us together. And
10 out of 10.
If you are not following, follow at Angela Rye. I got to give a shout out to Native Land Pod. Welcome home. I saw a lot of you in the chat. And make sure you follow State of the People on all platforms to stay informed. Thank you so much, Sister Angela. I'll see you in a day.
Yes.
Thank you. Sisters, before we go to the next point on our agenda, I did want to acknowledge that we did have some other speakers that had agreed to speak with us tonight. But due to the schedule and a very special guest and some of the current issues that we had to address, they have all graciously agreed to move to an additional Sunday. So I really want to thank Sister Gwen Hess with the Black Women's Agenda. We all know that she has a major Congressional Black Caucus luncheon that takes place, and she was going to talk to us about that. Sister Felicia Brown with AARP, and we look forward to having her come join us at a future Sunday. And Sister Kalana Bearfield Brown to talk about just her journey in fashion and culture, and we will have a conversation with her along with others in fashion and beauty at a future Sunday. But I did want to acknowledge and thank them for being so gracious in coming in on a future Sunday. And with that, I'll turn it over to my sister, Chantel Mullen, who will close us out with the announcements. I'll come back and bring up our spiritual closing.
Now, Jotake, I'm mad at you, girl. How you gonna have me after all of these fabulous sisters?
Because you fabulous too, sis. And you fabulous.
Thank you. Well, I just have a few announcements this evening. So let me share my screen. All right. So we have reached the end of the third quarter, and we are going into our fourth quarter Sunday calls. So sisters, mark these dates on your calendar. October 5th, October 19th, November 2nd, November 16th, December 7th, and December 14th. Remember, we always use our bit.ly WWBW Sunday call link. And so you can go in and register for all of those Sunday calls. And the states are having their meetings, and it's going to be on November the 3rd and on December the 8th. Don't forget, part one of the meeting starts at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and it is for the states in the Eastern and Central time zones. And then the part two of the call starts on Monday at 8:30 p.m. for Mountain and Pacific time zones, plus Hawaii and Alaska. And so those will be the dates and times for the state meetings, all state meetings. Don't forget, lock it in because power is rising. Save the date, April 16th through 19th, Power Rising 2026 will be in Chicago. And if you have not been, it is great. Sister Leah usually closes it out with a whole sermon. I still remember that one about the slip. That was a great sermon. We're also going to have from the National Race Equity Initiative for Social Justice. This is another CBC Foundation event. They are going to be in New Orleans, so save the date. It is November the 1st, 2025. Also, if you are in DC for Congressional Black Caucus Week, don't forget that on September 23rd, Emerge is having a Divine Nine candidate training. It is from 11:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. You can sign up. They're going to give you all the tools we need, because remember,
earlier, Sister Stacey said, we need to pay attention to those local elections, which means we need for sisters to run. And you know what? Emerge is helping train you, so you'll be ready to run. So join us September the 23rd at the Emerge Divine Nine candidate training. Don't forget, if you have a youngster, there's an internship program over at the CBC Foundation. They're looking for their spring 2026 interns. The deadline is October the 17th. This is a paid internship. We have the Federal Workers Initiative. They are meeting on Thursdays from 7 to 9. Sister Jennifer Jones is working with our sisters to help them pivot with passion and purpose. So if you have been one of the impacted federal workers, check out the Pivot with Passion and Purpose with Jennifer Jones on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Just to remind you, the 54th Annual Legislative Conference is starting this coming week, y'all. You can still register. Now, the registration has gone up. Let me tell y'all something funny. I have been on these calls talking about register, and early registration. Why I miss early registration and had to pay the new fee. So I hope y'all registered early. If you have not, you can still register. Our sister, Congresswoman Terry A. Sewell, is the board chair for the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation for this year. Sister Angela was on talking about the State of the People, their Community Day Resource Fair. It is Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can use the stateoftheppl.com/Community Day link so that you can register. There's a State of Black Media Town Hall. It is happening on Tuesday, September the 23rd. It is 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It will happen via Zoom, and you can register for that Zoom using the link below. Just a reminder, you can still send in your letter to support DC Home Rule. There's still some troops lingering around. There is also the budget that is being held. And, you know, some folks over in Congress are trying to make some changes to home rule. There is still time for you to send a letter supporting DC's home rule. Just a reminder, DC has a Know Your Rights kit that some of our great organizations in DC have put together. You can scan that QR code, Know Your Rights, to look at the toolkit. What's happening in the Win with Black Women states groups? Let's take a look. North Carolina, just a reminder, North Carolina Win with Black Women, they meet on Sundays at 6 p.m. They have a goal to have sisters representing all 100 counties in North Carolina. So you can sign up to join their call using the bit.ly link. California, they meet monthly, the third Monday of each month at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. Massachusetts, they are going to have their monthly meeting on September the 29th at 6 p.m. Eastern time. You can use their bit.ly link to join their call. And we're going to put all of this in the resources tab, y'all. I see you in the chat. I see you in the chat. Give me one moment. Pennsylvania, they're going to have their next meeting Wednesday, October the 8th at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And so you can join their Win with Black Women call using their bit.ly link. Nebraska, we got sisters everywhere, y'all.
So Nebraska will be having their inaugural call on September the 25th at 8 p.m. from 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. So you can email them at www.nebraska@gmail.com to find out more information about their meeting. The sisters in Georgia, they have issued a step challenge. I don't know about you, but I have almost closed my rings for today. I have been stepping it up, my fellow sisters from Georgia. So y'all, we gotta be fit. We got a lot of stuff ahead of us. So just a reminder, if you are a Black woman who is running for office in 2025, Sisters Lead, Sisters Vote is looking for you. So they can follow and amplify your candidacy, and then maybe be featured in their wonderful Black Women Elected General Election Yearbook. Just a reminder, if you have an opportunity that you would like to share, because Jewel Love sends out that wonderful, wonderful opportunity list of jobs and other opportunities, send that to info@winwithblackwomen.org to Jewel Love's attention. Make sure you get it to her by Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern. And then if you have an announcement, you know, I love y'all, but oh, can y'all get me the announcements by Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern? So, but send those also to info@winwithblackwomen.org, subject line announcements. And so with that, if you want to drop a little love offering, take a picture, share the C4 donation link, because Zoom don't pay for itself. And with that,
it does not. You can leave the link up so that folks we can put the link back up so folks can see it.
Hold on, wait a minute. Hey, I will let them know. Wait a minute, because you know, Zoom, baby, does not pay for itself.
We appreciate, and one thing I will say is that we do appreciate all of the donations. We are volunteer. All of us are volunteers here. Everything, we volunteer our own resources, our time into this, and we are so gracious for the support. So we do encourage you to share this. And if you can't give, that is perfectly fine as well. Continue to give your time and show up and share the important resources that come. But we do appreciate all of the support that comes our way. Thank you so much, Sister Chantel. As always, thank you so much for closing us out.
You are welcome. And I'm gonna put the slide deck in the resources tab. As always, we will share it in the Win with Black Women Facebook group and on some social media. So thank you, and back to you.
Thank you. So before I bring up our spiritual closer tonight, I want to make sure that we are sharing the flyer that we have, that Sister Melanie Campbell, the Black Women's Roundtable. Yep, there it is, everybody. So we have it up here. Sister Melanie Campbell mentioned this. This is 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. in the convention center, as they shared. Make sure you register for the conference, and then you can attend all of the events. And then after that, you can go right on over to Sycamore and Oak, because they're going to be there up until 2 p.m. for the State of the People. So we look forward to seeing you. Sisters, it has been an amazing night. This has been an amazing, solid 2 hours of dynamite Black women excellence. And I want to personally thank every Black woman that has graced this Win with Black Women virtual stage, and thank every Black woman who is powering Win with Black Women, the sisters who help make it happen, who send out the links, who get the graphics out, who post the post on our social media, who sends the confirmations. And I want to thank each and every one of you. Tonight we had 8,500 Black women on this call. You all have pre-ordered books. You have supported Black women authors. You have supported Black women in the culture. You've gotten great information how we can actually have our 10 steps to our power, how we can make sure that we are uplifting the importance of free speech, but also making sure that we're going to be connecting all this week during Congressional Black Caucus Week, but most importantly, the love and the reminder from our forever Vice President, Kamala Harris, that powerful words that she said that I read from her book, and we will win. It is so powerful. Thank you all so much. And before we close tonight, I want to remind you that we will have after hours. If you want to go into a room, the sister check-in, or to other rooms that we have, there is a tab that you can click. If you don't see it, it may say more, and you can go into a breakout room, and you'll be able to go into a breakout room, and it's not a webinar. It's an actual room that allow you to have a bit to go on and just talk. So that will pop up for those of you who want to join a breakout room. So thank you all so much. And I'm so honored to close us out tonight. A Win with Black Women OG, Sister Angela Angel, to close us in the spirit.
Thanks, Joteka. Hey, wow, that was powerful. Ladies, I don't know about you, but I'm full and really grateful to be in this space. Ironically, earlier this week on Friday, I did this thing with grits. And I don't know if you ever made grits, but my family does cheese grits and sweet grits. And so when you divide grits, I say grits, you can actually grow your grits because you add a little milk into the grits and you add a little milk and stir and the grits come back, right? Well, I've also been raised that grits means girls raised in traditions of the South. And like when we get things taken out of us in our community and everything else, we have to pour back into ourselves and you stir a little bit. But one of the things about when you stir the grits, if you let it rest, it actually gets thicker, right? And it actually, so you can grow your grits by pouring into it and then you rest and it gets thicker. And when that happened to me this week, that was like a spiritual word for me. And God said, because you give out, and as Black women, we give out so much, but sometimes then we have to be poured back in. But then when you get poured back in, you need to rest and marinate on it and read the books that you just ordered. And then you are full and you are more. So I said, grow your grits. So I hope all of you grow. And I'm just gonna briefly take us into, God, I thank you. I thank you for this moment. I thank you for this time. I thank you for placing us in the room with women that are so powerful, both inside and externally, but who thought it not robbery to be here in this moment with us and to share with us what is burdening their hearts and their spirits, God. God, I ask that every woman that spoke here, that you pour into them, that you give them rest, that you grow them, Lord, that you touch their households. God, I ask that every woman that is under the sound of my voice, and even those who are no longer here, that our households are touched, that our bloodlines are filled, God. God, that generational curses are broken. God, that things that are coming against our community are seized, God. God, I ask that you give all of these women rest, that they know their power. Lord, we thank you and we honor you for what you have done today. God, we thank you for this community. We ask that you bless Joteka, God, from the top of her head to the bottom of her feet. God, we ask that you bless all of the women on this call, all of the women in this community. God, from the top of our head, from our crowns to the bottom of our feet, where we carry all of the weight of the world that it puts on us. God, we ask that you edify them, that they go into their community, into their households, into their homes, filled with strength. And God, let them know that they are not standing alone in any space that they enter, that you are with them, but they are also supported by a community of sisters, seen and unseen, who are linked together and praying for them. Not just those here, but those in the spiritual realm, those of the ancestors that have gone on before us, who are cheering us on, who see us even when others don't. God, you see us in our struggle, you see us in our strength, but through it all, your love is the same. And so, God, we thank you, we honor you with everything that is within us. Ashe and amen. Thank you.
Stir and grow your grits. Sister Angela Angel, thank you. Sisters, this has been amazing. 2 hours tonight. Oh my goodness, I am filled. And I've received so many messages and text messages from so many of you. And I'm not going to say who this came from, but I just want to share this because the sister said, hey, I needed this Win with Black Women time tonight. This corporate environment is no joke right now, and we're all challenged with all of these crisis issues. And I appreciate you/Win with Black Women Beyond Words. I think we're all feeling in this moment that many of us, we needed this. I often say Win with Black Women feels like a hug because it is that. So I want to thank all of you. I too needed this night, and I want to thank you all. I also want to take a moment of personal privilege to give a big shout out. I know we're all about women, but there are 2 men that are on this call tonight. They are my baby nephews. They are not even a week old, and they are watching with their mom, Tony Kreiner Reynolds. So hello to Elijah and to Ethan, who were born last Sunday. I think they're not even a week old. And they are chilling with us on this Win with Black Women call. So those little baby boys are being raised right. Thank you all so much. Sisters, we have 2 breakout rooms tonight. Federal workers, I know you always love to get together. And